Hi, this is Dave from Sven Gali, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking Podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking Podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Dave Wanless of Sven Gali.
Yeah, they're promoting their new single, Spellbound, a Triumph cover.
And a new EP called 3.
Yeah, we're excited for them. Great interview. Let's get to it right now.
All right, good night.
Good night. Hey, Dave, welcome to the Nothing Shocking Podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Dave, it's going to be fun to talk to you tonight.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Well, hey, Sven Gali has been busy recording music during the pandemic. Can you talk a bit more about covering the Triumph Spellbound?
Yeah.
And what made you pick that song out of the huge catalog of Triumph's music?
Well, we had the opportunity many years ago to record at Metalworks Studio. That's where our recording career started, if you will. Mm. And so we've been friends with Triumph and Gil for quite many years. We, so it was a great time to back there. It was a great time to learn about the recording studio situations and all that stuff. And we, when we got invited to play a song, and see if we can bang something out, that particular song is one of my favorite songs, and I always heard it heavy than it is, or bring it up to date. So I always heard it a lot heavier, and so we went for that approach on the song.
Oh, so cool! Yeah, when it comes to covering Triumph music, is it something that you and the rest of the band would like to do more of in the future? And I guess maybe that two part of that question is, has the band ever thought about doing a covers album per se?
I know in Europe it's popular to do covers, and it was a nice little break from writing your own stuff and just banging out someone else's tunes. And it was the first time. Well, actually, we have done covers on records before from a band here up in Canada called Teenage Head, and we enjoy doing it. As far as doing a full album of covers, I really don't see that too much, but I do see in the future doing one here and there and paying tribute to the bands that we enjoy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the next one?
Well, yeah, your most recent EP is called 3. I believe there's 4 tracks on there. Can you talk a little bit about? I think you've been releasing them single at a time over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so 3 was kind of when we got back together, if you will, or Dan, called me one day and asked me to come over to his place and jam a little bit. And it was I was been out of the music scene for many years. I'm still had like a foot in it, but not to the extent that we're back doing now. And when we got together, Sean, the bass player, Sven Gali, came over and we started jamming, and it just felt good. And we had there was no pressure to make a record company happy, or no pressure to get out a whole full album. And we can actually get together, do it on our terms, and just put out songs as we see fit. I think the music industry has changed so much, where full-length records are they come and go, but I see a lot of people just putting singles out here and there. I know the fans probably want the full length albums and stuff like that, but for us, it just seemed a nice little introduction back into playing together by doing the EP3.
Many artists that we have had on the show in the past have talked about, releasing singles in today's music landscape, opposed to releasing a full-length album, and EPs have seemed like they become a much more popular trend for bands that are traditionally the album-oriented rock. What are your thoughts on creating an EP? Is it something that you're comfortable with? Sven Gali is known to be an album-oriented band. How does it work for you and the rest of the band?
Well, our lives have changed have quite a bit. Like, we're all business owners. Andy lives in China, has a business in China, and Sean is an investor, a real estate investor here in the area. And we're all busy guys. I have my own company, and Dan is very busy in the educational system here. So we do this for fun, and it's I don't think there's no time at the moment right now for us to drop everything and commit to a full length record. And it's just that's where we are right now. To say that it's not going to happen in the future, when things settle down for everybody a little bit, that can happen. But I find that we're getting since 3 came out, we've been getting a lot of people interested back in the band, and a lot of new fans and requests to tour and more material. So we're slowly getting sucked back in here. So I can maybe in the near future, or maybe next, we'll get a full record out. We have a ton of material. We have so much material that it's incredible. That Andy and I were going through the catalog, and on the new record, Bombs and Battlescars, it's there's the material from 3 is going to be on it. There's a bunch of unreleased demos of stuff that we really like, and it's just raw stuff. It's the mistakes are on there, everything's on there. It's going to be interesting for the fans to hear the writing process, not just banging out these songs. And then we have Spellbound's going to be on there, and we have a new song called One Gun that's really heavy. And then we have a song that we're all looking forward to you guys hearing. It's called Monster. Oh, cool. And last but not least, we've been getting requests for a ballad, a slow song. So we have we're going to put a ballad on there, a new ballad called Nothing New.
Oh, cool.
Nice. So it's going to be, there's something for everybody, a little bit of the past, a little bit of the future, a little bit of Coverland, and a little bit of Spellbound and Triumph, and Canadian content, and I think people are going to dig it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I guess I was just going to ask a little bit about the process of getting back together, and just, what brought you guys back, and is it the creative juices are flowing, obviously, so it must have worked.
It's funny. We've been together since the 80s. And after, long story short, after we finished our second record in Seattle, and Dee got into his Sea-Doo accident on vacation after that record was done, we were supposed to go on tour with Candlebox across the United States, and that we had to pull out of that just because of what happened with our with Dee, and we didn't want to replace him or get a substitute. We were waiting it out for him. He was like our brother, and we were just young guys. I'm saying, you know what I mean? And we're saying we don't want to do anything without our brother, and we can wait it out. But one thing led to another, and it just didn't pan out. And I think that when you're part of a major label, you're kind of a can of beans on a shelf. If you're not producing, then you're shelved, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so we were like, well, okay, whatever. At that young age, being the type of guys we were, we weren't being dictated to, if you will. And so we just stepped aside, and it was all good. And then as time went on, everybody kind of, went on their different way to take a break. And D got sick, and then when he passed away, there was another length of time where we got to everybody just did their own thing. And then one day Dan called me. I can remember the day clearly. I was in my garage. I was messing around with my cars and cleaning up my garage, and he called me. He said, Dave, why don't you come on over? Would you be interested to come over and jam it in the studio? Dan played on a demo with us before, so we have a history with him. We helped his band get signed, Varga, back in the day.
Nice.
They were a heavy band. And so I said, you know what? It was that time. It was summertime, and I did have a little free time, and things weren't as crazy. And I went over there, and Sean was there from Sven Gali, and then it was weird because it was like when we started jamming, and then Andy showed up from China to do a show with us, just to get back together, and he was on vacation, so we did a show. And when we got together, it was like, weird as it may sound, it was like therapy. We banged out a lot of shit, and we banged out a lot of things to discuss. And we were always, and it was like when I saw Andy and Sean for the first time in a long time, it was like we never were apart. It's just a weird thing. You might be, you might have heard that before, but it's so true when you're so bonded to somebody, when you see them, it's like you never left them,
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that for us. And so one thing led to another, and we found ourselves in New York City with David Bendith, recording at a studio in New York, and that's when 3 was born. And then from there, I thought, okay, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna take it easy for a while. But no, the momentum kept going. People were requesting shows, festivals, and now we got Bombs and Battlescars coming out very soon, and you got Spellbound coming out on social media, or Spotify and stuff this Friday.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, yeah. So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the EP thing. So this is a 4-track EP. You're kind of cheating a little bit on us here, a little bit. We're used to like 5 to 6 songs, even maybe every once in a while seven on an EP. So you're kind of skimming us a little bit. Are we gonna, next time you release an EP, can we get about 5 or 6 out of you next time?
For sure. I thought maybe it's the currency exchange from Canadian to US. You expect more. Because we're just accustomed to 4 songs or something like that here. But you know what? I will make a point of when we do the next one that we have 6 or 7 songs on there, and we'll dedicate that to you guys.
Fantastic. But on 3, my favorite track is Now. Can you talk a little bit more about the writing and recording process to that song? Because it's a fantastic song.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Now was this. Remember, I told you about this long, deep catalog of 1 million songs that we have.
Yeah.
Like we've been writing since the 80s. Well, that song came from that catalog.
Oh wow,
cool.
Yeah, and what really only changed on it was the music was basically that was the direction, but the guys went to town on it, and the melodies and the vocals were pretty close to where it was back in early 90s. So that song was going to be on Sven Gali's 3rd record prior, before everything went south on us, and so that was like that night. I remember recording or just jamming that out. We're in a place called the Jam Factory in Toronto, and it's just one of those nights late at night, a few beers and hanging out, and just felt good in the studio. I remember in that room, and the guys came up with this riff, and all of a sudden that song was born. I think it was written in like 2 days.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just we have a couple of those. Sometimes you just hit it. Like I think a lot of bands maybe feel or go through the same thing where you just find this thing, and all of a sudden, what else are you going to do to that song? It's just heavy.
It is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeff, you got the next
I was going to ask you about the opening song, Kill the Lies. Do you have a story behind that one?
Yeah, Kill the Lies. Kill the Lies was kind of like a, Kill the Lies was kind of like an FU to all the haters.
Yeah.
And the people and the doubters and the people that thought, Sven Gali. We had some people when they heard that we were getting back together saying, "Oh, you guys are, it's been this long. You're not going to be able to pull it off." Because a lot of bands when they reunite, I find it gets kind of mellow. They mellow out a little bit, and so that was like hey, we're not going to do it. We're not going to chintz out or give our fans something that they wouldn't expect from us. So we just wanted to hush everybody down and then sit back and get ready for what's next coming from us. So that was kind of what that was all about.
Oh, fantastic. I do want to kind of touch base with you again about the full-length album. Is there any chance down the line that the band will put together a full-length album, or are you just pretty much content now just doing the EP thing to singles?
You know what? I miss the days. I miss the days of getting a vinyl and opening up the vinyl and reading everything on it and going through all the songs and then wearing records out when I was a kid, learning about music. And I think that is definitely a possibility, and quite honestly, I think that's something that will come down the road next. We're gonna tour Bombs and Battlescars this summer, and do dates all over, and then in the meantime, we have all these songs that we want to share with everybody, and I think that the best of us, the best is yet to come from us. We're getting very comfortable in the studio. We're getting very comfortable expressing ourselves musically, and I think that doing Spellbound and Nothing New on the new record, and when you guys hear Monster, and then you hear One Gun, you're gonna go, these guys definitely have much more to offer, and I'm very fortunate to play with a great band. The band's awesome. I love the band. They're great players, and we all get along. And it's funny when you're in a room with these guys, and because we've been together for so long that when we're playing, you just have to look at each other and just know, okay, we're going here with this song.
Oh.
And so we're getting very comfortable, and I see it on the near future to put out a full length record for sure. We have more than enough material to choose from.
You have us excited. So
I know.
We're totally excited.
I was just going to ask you. You kind of alluded to touring on this, or have you guys mapped that out yet, or is it just still in the preliminary stages? Are you going to come across the border?
We definitely want to. We were just hooking up with a new management company for touring right now, and he's got a bunch. He does a lot of festival stuff. So we have been offered festivals in the United States, and I'm not quite sure where they are. That Dan just keeps track of them, and we're trying to plan something out. But I love playing in the States. The fans are, they love their music. They know a lot about music, and they'll tell you what they like and what they don't like real quick.
They do.
Yes. So the musical intellect there is, it's different there than it is in Europe. In Europe, they love to sing and chant and dance. You know what I mean? It's but a lot of the places in the States, they like to hang there and bang their heads, and it's great. We love it. So, but we're looking. We've been offered shows basically all over Europe and Canada and the United States, but we're just trying to sit back here for a minute and say, okay, what can we physically do? Yeah. We got to hook up with Andy, and maybe we'll start in Europe and come across, because it's a faster flight from China to London than it is from China to New York City. You know,
absolutely. So is the band kind of looking more at charting out festivals and things like that matter as far as playing live, or are you looking at doing like a full-fledged small tour, or what are the plans?
When we were together, like back in the day, festivals for us, we really enjoyed it. We pull it off live on a big stage. But when we were playing those shows back in the day, we would always marry, like we would do a festival, and the next night we'd still stay in that town and we'll do a small club.
Yeah.
So people can, we're bringing a monster PA, and just in a small club, people can see us in that type of environment, you know. So we enjoy doing both. I remember when we were in Toronto, we played. We were backstage at Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and Faith No More. And then after that show, when that show emptied out in Toronto, there's a club in Toronto called Rock and Roll Heaven. And that place was the streets were packed around the club because Sven Gali was playing that night. And then when we walked on stage, I walked on stage with Duff from Guns N' Roses, and he came on and played with us.
Oh, cool.
We played Welcome to the Jungle, and it was like we started off the night that way with Duff, and it was that was a night I can barely remember, but I kind of remember.
I love those nights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's switch gears here, and let's kind of talk about the 1992 debut Sven Gali debut album on BMG Canada label. Can you talk a little bit more about that whole creation of that album, what it took for the band to get signed, and how did it go from there?
Well, you know, you've probably heard the expression, and you got all your whole life to write your first record.
Yes.
And basically that was the case with us, because we were together, and I think we got together, and I believe it was 1986, and we had from there till 92 to come up with a ton of songs in which we did, and a lot of those songs. I mean, it's so funny when you're in pre-pro and you're writing songs and you think, okay, this is what we're taking into the studio, but when you get into the studio, how it changes, how things start feeling different. The title, the first video on that, and I guess the lead-off single was a song called "Under the Influence," and that song was a song called "Don't Call It Love," and it was originally called "Don't Call It Love," and it was it totally took a whole new life in the studio, and then turned into a totally different song called, and we called it obviously "Under the Influence," and that was off the lead-off track. And it won. It was Juno nominated here for the award, and then it won a Much Music Video Award for the best hard rock video that year. So, and then songs were born in the studio. Like we went in again with a bunch of stuff, but we came out with a ballad out of there. Just sitting around the studio gym and having a couple drinks at the end of the night, and we came up with a song called "Love Don't Live Here Anymore." And that song went to be, I think it was top 3 in Canada on the charts here. So that was it's funny how different things happen, and you just go with the vibe, you know, just go with the vibe, and whatever comes out comes out. We don't question it, we just knock it out.
As far as getting signed to BMG, how did it all work out? Was there a bidding war for the band when you guys first got signed, or was the BMG label the first one to come knocking on your door?
So we're from Toronto, obviously. We're Niagara, Toronto area, if you will. And what happened was we played every nook and cranny across this country, across Canada. I've been back and forth across Canada 11 times, playing everywhere. Yeah. And we got back to Toronto when we played a show, and the guys, we were feeling like a little like, okay, this isn't going to happen. You know, how much more can we try? I've had people out, companies out there, a lot of tire kickers, but nothing was really confirmed. Mm-hmm. So one day, the guys, we were at rehearsal, and we just looked at each other, and he said, you know what? We just got to pick this shit up, throw it in a bus, and let's go to Los Angeles on a one-way ticket. Mm. So we rented a tour bus. We threw all our gear in it. We took a one-way ride down to Sunset. We had a bunch of shows booked before we went there from our agency up here, and we played the circuit down there. And then within a month, we were getting interest from Capitol and other labels. And then the next, it was like as soon as that interest started happening, BMG in Canada said that they wanted to sign us. They came down. And so we made the road crew drive back, and we all flew back to Canada. I didn't want to do that drive again. So that's how it happened. And then we came back, and then David Bendith produced our first record, and he was our A&R guy. and we have a long history with him. And he showed us the ropes, and we went to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, to do the drums. I guess it was the old Playboy Mansion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we went there to do the drums, and then we recorded vocals and guitars in Toronto, and then we mixed it in Times Square, New York City.
Oh, so cool. Well, let's kind of switch gears here to in 1995, Sven Gali releases the second album, In Wire. It was creatively different than and influenced by the grunge era. Well, that's what I read. The change of direction, I know it was kind of, critics were kind of panning you guys a little bit, but can you talk a little bit more about the musical direction of that album? And I know it featured Chris Thorne of Blind Melon and Kevin Martin of Candlebox. Talk a little bit more about that album.
Yes. Yeah, that was cool because so you know what? This is how I look at it. Like, and I don't know. Are you guys the same guys you were 25 years ago, 20 years ago? Have you grown at all anyway? And that's the way the band felt, you know. And so we decided to do music how we wanted to do our music.
Yeah.
And that stuff was coming out at that time. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we that stuff was coming out at that time, and we just went with it. And were we influenced by the grunge scene or stuff? Maybe, but I've always been a huge fan of Queensryche.
Yeah.
And I hear Queensryche in that stuff. You know, in the In Wire stuff, I just feel like we just went down a different road. We were experimenting, and you know, we're not a band we were never a band that's trying to write hits. We were just a band that was just playing, and we were in for the long haul. We weren't into, you know, quick success and all that stuff. We were just into the long haul of music, and we didn't think of it any other way. So, and I you know, there's moments on that record that I really like. I'm proud of. And it because it just made us open up to you know, different ways of recording. We were recorded with Kelly Gray, and Christopher from Blind Melon played on it. He played mandolin on it. We had the singer from Candlebox. He did some backing vocals. There was a lot of different people that got involved, and we just had a really great time. And we recorded at London Bridge, where you know 10 was done by Pearl Jam and Blind Melon and all these bands. Alice in Chains recorded.
I guess the thing that disturbs me as a fan and a collector of in a podcast or whatever is that when bands try to, I guess, maybe challenge themselves and go a different direction and not just cookie cutter themselves for the next album, but when they try to experiment with sound, it seems like the critics come out of the woodwork and pan it and say, you know, the evolution of this band is changing. And I've never understood why it's bad for bands to become diverse. Are you kind of following me on that one?
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking while you were talking. I'm just, you know, sometimes the fans they just expect that you're going to be that band all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you know, there's some Sven Gali fans to this day when I see them and they're pissed. They were upset with me, you know, and I'm just looking at them going, dude, I mean, like, you know, I don't know what to tell you, man. We just write what comes out, and I'm sorry. I mean, those days were those days. And those days are, you know, they're gone. We remember them, and we play the shit out of that stuff when we play it. When the first record, when we play it live, but we all have evolved as people, musicians, and I don't think we'd want to do another record like that. That we've got that T-shirt, you know, we did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just kind of takes me to that rock and roll snobbery thing. Yeah. You know, rock and roll is so snobbish. The fans are so snobbish, and they expect a certain thing. And it just never ceases to amaze me that the snobs of the rock and roll fandom don't grab evolution of music and say, hey, this is great, they're trying something different. It seems like they just want the same thing over and over again. There's very few fan, I think they're in the minority, that says, yes, change it up, please change it up, change your sound up. For me, I love it. I love when a band challenges themselves. It just seems like the rock and roll snobbery thing out there is, and we see it on social media and everywhere else, it gets to be somewhat kind of, I get disgruntled with it. I don't know about you, but it seems like, hey, how do you expect a band to evolve if you just want the same debut album to be recreated over and over again?
Well, it's funny. I had this guy. There's this one particular fan who was a huge. Like it was like, I think he had Sven Gali tattoo and he had it all going on, right? And I think he still has the same friggin' headband on that he had on back in '93. You know, and he's saying to me, how can you do that? And how can you do that? And I'm very, very polite guy and but I just had to look at him this time and say to him, why the hell are you still like the same guy you were back then? You know, I turned the tables on him, right?
Yeah.
And he go, well, rock never dies, and blah, 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 blah. I'm going, wow, dude. You know, I said, you better go grab your bong and just go hide in the corner. So, you know, so it was, I turned the tables on him, and then I think he looked at me at that time, and I said, it's the same thing, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I'm listening to you. I'm hearing what you're saying, but we're just different people. But I agree with you. It's funny, and I like listening to bands how they evolve as players. Like if you listen to David Grohl back in his first bands to him now, he's a hit writer. You know?
Exactly.
He's evolved. Still heavy.
It never fails to me that an album that I love is a Music from the Elder from Kiss. And, man, I tell you what, the fans and the critics just kill that album. I'm like, why? They changed it up. They made a concept album. They added some things that they would not normally do. I don't get it, but whatever. I'm getting off my soapbox here.
I'll change it up for you a little bit then. So I'm a music collector. I like to buy CDs, and sometimes I don't really care where the bands are from if the music's good. And know, so one of the things I've been finding lately is I have more Canadian CDs than I thought I did, or more Canadian bands. I'm like, oh, they're from Canada. And so learn about you. Who are some of the contemporaries that you played with coming up that you became friends with, or maybe a big Canadian band that should have made it bigger that didn't?
Well, have you heard of Finger 11?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Finger 11 was a band called Rainbow Butthole Monkeys or something like that.
Yeah.
And they opened up for us on our first tour, and across the states. Across Canada. And they went on to do some really good things. They changed their name, which was a good idea. And then they went on to do really good things. The guitar player from 3 Days Grace, he was our guitar tech back in the day.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we've and like the scene is pretty tight. Like a lot of the bands, we all know each other.
Good.
We played with and here we go, my brain. I Mother Earth. I don't know if you've heard of I Mother Earth. We played with them New Year's Eve last year, and that was a great time with those guys. But there's a lot of different types of music here in Canada, and it's pretty. And I look back at it also at times too, and go, man, there's a lot of good players and a lot of good singers and musicians here, and it's and a lot of them are bleeding into the States. So. Yeah, there's a lot here.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, then we'll leave you alone for the night.
Sure, dude.
Generic question, asked this to a lot of our guests, but the internet has a lot of good and a lot of bad to it, and rock and roll was always a genre of music that stood behind the mystery of it all. And for the longest time, the only type of news we would get from rock stars was through magazines, Rolling Stone and Spin and Hit Parader, and we can just go down the list of magazines. Social media has kind of taken the mystery out of rock and roll, and it's made it more accessible for fans to interact with the rock stars of the world, musicians. Do you prefer the mystery of what rock and roll used to be, or do you like the accessibility? Because let's face it, if we didn't have the accessibility, Jeff and I couldn't do this right now. So what are your thoughts on all that?
I think that, it's funny you just commented on this because we've had the same discussion. It was so hard, and because I've seen a little bit of both. I've seen a lot of both. And back in 86, 92 time, it was like social media. If we had that back when we put out our first record to the point that we have it now, I think that we'd have reached a lot more people around the world. So it gives an opportunity for everybody to be on an equal playing field as getting their stuff heard. They have the opportunity to get it out there. There's a lot of people that I think a lot of stars on social media, like you can access them on but they still have that sense of mystery to them.
Yeah.
But you get some insight on what's going on. And there's some guys that are right out there in your face, right? On social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like I listened to for example, we played last year with Sebastian Bach.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it 2 years ago? And he's all over social media. I see him constantly on it,
Mm-hmm.
But us guys, Dan takes care of that for our band, and it gets out. Like he's got, we got a lot of fans in Australia and all these different places that we thought we wouldn't reach, and just because of how you can access anything today, anything you want. You want to know anything, you can find out anything. Just punch it in, and you'll find out what's going on, right? So I got to tell you, I think it's for me, it's more of I think if it's done properly, you can have the best of both worlds.
Well said. I think Jeff's got one more question.
I got one last question. Does Sven Gali have a website, or do you guys just use social media, Facebook, kind of tagging on it?
A website? Oh, yeah, we have a website. SvenGali.ca. So there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, there is SvenGali.ca.
Very good. Well, we've ran out of our allotted time for the evening, but before we let you go, was there anything that we did not cover that you would like to plug or promote?
No, you know what? We got the record coming out. May, I think 22nd. Bottoms of Battlescars. You're gonna get Spellbound this Friday. So you can download it. And other than that, to all the people that listen to us across the states, and we have a lot of friends there that we've made over the years. I want to thank everybody for their support, and we look forward to getting down there, and look forward to buying you guys a beer one night and go and hang out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you say May 22nd? That's going to be released?
Yes.
Oh, perfect day, my birthday. Perfect.
Oh, cool. There you go.
Look forward to it.
There you go. I'll send you in with a couple candles on it.
Hey, that's a deal. Fantastic. Right. So this is how it works. We're about a month out on our episodes. So this episode should be released in about 4 weeks or whatever. But whenever it's released and everything, we'll make sure that we send it to you guys immediately. Share it on your socials, website, wherever.
All right, man. That's awesome. Nice to meet you guys. I look forward to seeing you in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Okay, take care. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.